You know what you want. You have known for some time. You can describe it clearly. You have made plans, set intentions, taken initial steps, and then, at some point that you can't always identify precisely, you stopped. Not dramatically, not consciously, not with a clear decision to abandon the goal. You just found yourself not doing it anymore. The project sat, the practice lapsed, the opportunity went by, and when you look back at what happened, the explanation you reach for is some version of, "I got in my own way." The phrase is accurate. The understanding of what it describes usually is not. The standard interpretation of self-sabotage is motivational. You didn't want it enough, or you were afraid of failure, or you were afraid of success, or you have low self-worth that prevents you from allowing yourself to have good things. These explanations feel psychologically sophisticated, and they often contain a grain of truth, but they consistently fail to identify the specific mechanism, the actual process that produces the behavior, in a way that makes the pattern modifiable rather than just accurately labeled. Stephen Pressfield's framework of resistance provides the most precise phenomenological account of what the experience of self-sabotage actually involves. Pressfield, writing from decades of experience as a professional creative who spent years observing his own avoidance patterns, identifies a force he calls resistance, a specific internal experience that emerges, reliably and with consistent characteristics, in opposition to any action that involves genuine creative or personal growth. Resistance, in his account, is not laziness, not fear in the ordinary sense, not lack of discipline. It is something more specific, an automatic, unconscious force that generates the internal experience of not wanting to do the thing, restlessness, rationalization, sudden competing urgency, precisely in proportion to how important the thing is. This proportionality is the key. Resistance, Pressfield observes, is most powerful not in relation to trivial things, but in relation to things that genuinely matter. The project that would require genuine creative stretch, the relationship change that would involve genuine vulnerability, the professional transition that would require genuine investment. These are exactly the things that resistance most reliably opposes. And the opposition does not typically present as obvious fear. It presents as distraction, as sudden interest in something else, as the generation of apparently reasonable reasons why now is not the right time. Carol Dweck's growth mindset research provides the psychological mechanism underneath Pressfield's phenomenological account. Dweck's finding that fixed mindset beliefs about ability and worth generate avoidance of situations where failure would constitute evidence of inadequacy maps directly onto what Pressfield describes. The fixed mindset self does not experience the prospect of genuine effort toward an important goal as opportunity. It experiences it as risk. If I genuinely try and do not succeed, that failure becomes evidence about what I fundamentally am, rather than information about what I currently can and cannot do. This threat is not irrational within the fixed mindset framework. Given the belief that performance is evidence of fixed capacity, genuine effort and failure is genuinely threatening in a way that not trying is not. Not trying preserves the possibility of I could have if I had wanted to. Trying and failing eliminates it. The avoidance that looks like laziness or self-sabotage from the outside is, from inside the fixed mindset, a rational self-protective response to a genuinely threatening situation. Jonathan Haidt's research on the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind adds the third layer. Haidt's metaphor are the conscious, rational, deliberate self as a rider on an elephant, where the elephant is the much larger unconscious emotional and motivational system, captures something that both Pressfield and Dweck approach, but neither fully articulates. The rider can choose directions and set intentions, but the elephant is considerably more powerful. And when the elephant moves in a different direction than the rider is directing, the rider's experience of that is not, I am being carried somewhere I didn't choose. It is, I changed my mind, or something came up, or now is not the right time. The conscious self narrates the outcome of the unconscious motivation as if it were its own deliberate decision. This is the mechanism of self-sabotage as a phenomenological experience. The unconscious system, the elephant, has its own reasons for avoiding the important goal. Those reasons are typically related to the kinds of threat that Dweck's fixed mindset identifies: fear of failure, fear of the vulnerability that genuine effort involves, the protection of self-concept against the risks of actually putting yourself on the line. The conscious mind does not experience those reasons as such. It experiences a series of apparently rational decisions about timing, priority, competing demands that happen to consistently produce the outcome of not doing the thing. What does this mean practically for the person who recognizes this pattern in themselves? The first practical implication is to treat the presence of avoidance as a signal about importance, rather than as a signal about worthiness. Pressfield's framework is directly useful here. The specific correlation between the importance of a project or goal and the intensity of the resistance it generates means that the appearance of avoidance is not evidence that the goal doesn't matter enough. In many cases, it is evidence of the opposite. The things you most consistently fail to start, most reliably find reasons to postpone, most elaborately rationalize not doing, those things are often the most significant. The avoidance is the signal, not the verdict. The second is to work with the elephant rather than against it. Haidt's framework implies that the purely rational approach to self-sabotage, identifying the correct thing to do and then applying willpower to do it, is working at the level of the rider while the obstacle is at the level of the elephant. The interventions that consistently work are not primarily about generating more willpower or more commitment. They are about understanding what the elephant is afraid of, what protection the avoidance is providing, and what conditions would make the action less threatening to the unconscious system, rather than just more demanded by the conscious one. The third is Dweck's contribution most directly, examining the specific fixed mindset beliefs that are generating the threat response. For most patterns of self-sabotage, there is a specific belief about what failure would mean, about what the outcome of genuine effort and not quite success would reveal about the self. That is generating the protection. That belief is usually not accurate. It is usually a framework formed early, in conditions that made it adaptive. That is no longer the most useful way to interpret the relationship between effort, outcome, and personal worth. Identifying and examining that belief explicitly, not just knowing intellectually that it exists, but encountering it in the specific form it takes in the specific domain where the sabotage is happening, is the beginning of the process by which it can be updated. There is a practical tool that comes from the integration of these three frameworks: Pressfield's phenomenology, Dweck's belief structure, and Haidt's rider and elephant model that is worth naming concretely. It is not a motivational technique or a productivity hack. It is a specific kind of investigation, what Haidt's research might call examining the elephant's reasoning. When the pattern of avoidance appears, when you notice that you are consistently not doing the thing you said you wanted to do, the productive question is not "Why can't I commit?" or "What is wrong with me?" Those questions presuppose the motivational explanation and produce shame rather than understanding. The productive question is, what specifically am I protecting, and from what? This question is most usefully answered, not in the abstract but in the immediate present of the avoidance, the moment when you become aware that you are about to not do the thing. When the competing urgency or the rationalization is forming, is the moment when the protection system is most legible. What are you telling yourself? What story is forming about why now is not right? Or why this particular attempt would fail? Or why the goal itself may not have been what you thought? That story is the protection. And the protection is pointing directly at the specific threat that the goal represents to the part of you that formed your self-concept before you had the tools to protect it more gracefully. Dweck's growth mindset is most useful, not as a general belief to be adopted, but as a specific reframe to be applied in exactly that moment. The outcome of this attempt is not evidence about what I fundamentally am. It is data about what I currently can and cannot do in this specific domain, under these specific conditions. That reframe does not eliminate the discomfort of potential failure. It changes what failure would mean from a verdict to information, and in a way that reduces the threat the protection system is responding to. The rider, in Haidt's model, cannot simply override the elephant, but the rider can change the elephant's assessment of the situation, providing accurate information about the actual stakes, about what failure would and would not mean, is the specific kind of influence the rider does have. not to force the elephant, but to help it understand that the territory has changed and the old threat assessment may no longer be the right one. You are not undermining yourself because you don't deserve the thing you want, or because some part of you wants to fail, or because you lack the character to follow through. You are undermining yourself because the specific combination of importance and vulnerability that the goal carries has activated a protection system that has your past and your self-concept's safety as its primary concern, and that has not yet been given a sufficiently compelling reason to let the future happen. Understanding that mechanism is not the same as resolving it, but it changes the relationship to it. The enemy is not your character. It is a protection system doing its job in a context where its job is no longer necessary. And protection systems, when their threat assessments are updated, can be worked with rather than simply overcome. One final dimension that Pressfield's framework identifies, and that is worth naming explicitly. The pattern of resistance tends to be domain-specific in a way that reveals something important about the self's investment. The things you most consistently find yourself not doing are not random. They cluster around the specific areas where you have the most genuine investment in the outcome, where the potential failure carries the most weight for how you understand yourself. That clustering is information. Most people, when they map their own avoidance patterns carefully, find that the resistance concentrates around a fairly small number of genuinely significant domains. The creative work that would most directly express who they actually are, the relationship change that would require the most genuine vulnerability, the professional risk that would put the most of what they value at stake. These are not the domains where avoidance is weakest. They are the domains where it is strongest, and that strength is, paradoxically, one of the clearest maps to what actually matters most. Height's rider and elephant model suggests a specific form of compassion that is more useful than either shame or willpower in response to this pattern. The recognition that the protection is coming from a part of you that cares enough about the important things to be genuinely frightened of their loss. The elephant is not your enemy. It is a very motivated protector with outdated threat. Intelligence. Updating that intelligence, giving the elephant an accurate picture of what is actually at stake and what the genuine costs and benefits of action versus continued protection look like, is the work, not overcoming a character flaw. Updating a threat assessment that was formed with the information available at the time it was formed, which was probably not the information you have now. The next thread examines the specific psychology of perfectionism, how a pattern that looks like high standards from the outside tends to function as avoidance from the inside, and what the research reveals about the genuine mechanism that produces perfectionist behavior, and the genuine conditions under which it can change. Before continuing, think about one goal or project that you have been consistently not starting, or starting and abandoning. What is the specific thing that failure would mean, but not in general? But in this particular case, what story about yourself would a failure here confirm? That specific story is probably the place where the protective mechanism lives. It is worth examining directly.